Here's the Will Hawkins file. Social services put everything in there.
You didn't tell me this was church camp.
It's gonna be great.
I got a feeling. Nope. Come on. What's with the name, A Ouija Way?
A week away. Every once in a while, somebody's just a week away from an experience that changed everything for them.
All right, that was a little sneak peek from A Week Away, which drops March 26th on Netflix only, so this Friday. You'll have to go check it out. I'm about to talk with the great Iain Tucker about his role in the film and what really led him there and what he's got going on afterwards. There was a huge audio issue. There's a huge audio issue at the beginning, and it lasted for about 5 to 10 minutes, I want to say. So just to give you a little context, we were talking about how Iain and I met at an audition like 4 or 5 years ago for this web series that we're both hoping to hear back from pretty soon. Oh yeah, and while you're listening to the podcast, try to catch how many times, count how many times I say man and yeah. And whoever leaves the correct amount in the comments below, if you're watching on YouTube, then you'll win a prize. Yeah, man. Enjoy the podcast.
All right, so we just came back from big time technical difficulties. Sorry there for the gap. We were talking about what came first, music or acting.
Yeah. Honestly, it was music. So I started singing first. And but here's the thing, I fell in love with acting first, and then I fell in love with music. So I started music, and then through connections I was making, because I was got into music playing piano when I was little, and then quit playing piano for a long time. At about maybe maybe it was 12 by the time I stopped playing piano.
Okay.
And then I was homeschooled at around 12, 13, I believe.
Nice.
And through that, I started, there was this lady that was like, hey, I'm doing this show. Her name was Diane Cater, and she was a very, very dear friend of mine. And as she was, this was early on before I really even, had formed a relationship with her. She was like, my parents were like, hey, there's this friend of ours who's doing this play. And me and my brothers at the time were all like in sports. And she was like, I just want to go support her. And I would love for you guys to like audition and help her out. And we were like, sure, whatever, like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it was Peter Pan. And I was watching it, and we watched the Broadway version, and I can't remember the actress who played Peter Pan. I can't remember her name at this moment, but it was that version where it was played by a female, as it traditionally is. But
okay.
I saw the crocodile come on screen, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do, dude. There's this guy in like this crocodile costume. I was like, yes, that seems like right up my alley. And I was talking to parents, and they're like, what'd you think? And I was like, that crocodile seems pretty cool. And they were like, well, why don't you just like try to audition for Peter Pan? And I was like, cool. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, I'll give it a shot.
You're like, no, I want to be a character actor.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like more connected to this crocodile reptilian. Yeah. This so she was like, yeah, why don't you audition for Peter Pan? I was like, sure, why not? And it was a musical, ironically, and I was singing also before that, kind of.
Okay.
I sang in choir while I was at private school for a little bit, and so music as well got me into acting because it was a musical, and then I ended up auditioning for Peter Pan, and I ended up getting it, and thus goes the story from there. Yeah, and did a lot of musicals, and that I wanted to start to get out of the musical theater genre. So I started to do more plays and stuff like that to really develop kind of the more grounded, I want to say, acting style.
Yeah, for sure.
Script work and all that. I love musical theater, but it is in some ways it can be a very different beast.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
And honestly, it's musical theater and musicals in general are the best of both worlds for me, because I'm participating in both mediums of the art that I love. And ironically, A Week Away is a musical, and so that was, you know, a great clashing of the two worlds.
Yeah, I don't want to. I was gonna say I want to get to that, but
yeah,
I want to go back just a while ago, where you said that. So you were home. You became homeschooled at like 12 to 13.
Right.
So public school before that, right?
I was actually in private school.
Private school, okay.
Yeah.
So, like that's almost like very much similar to me. I was at public school until I want to say 14, 15. And then I became homeschooled too. So, what made you make that transition? For me, it was so I could invest more time in, you know, this craft that we both love.
Yeah, actually, for me, I hated it the first couple of years. It was more of my parents' decision that they were like, "Hey, we're gonna homeschool our kids." I really kind of enjoyed the school I was going to, so. As it was for me as a kid, it always took a little bit of, on my end, I was not very great with change that I wasn't familiar with. So it took a little bit for me to get adjusted to it. And then I realized, whoa, I have a lot more time to work on my craft and, you know, participate in more shows and so it actually turned out to be a huge blessing in hindsight. But when I was first pulled out, I did not like it at all.
No, yeah.
But
a lot don't. So do you, how many other siblings do you have?
So I have one brother.
Okay.
But I lived with my aunts and my cousins for, oh my gosh, a good 12 to 13 years. So I consider my two other cousins, they're brothers to me. So anytime I refer to my brothers, I always talk about my cousins as well, because I lived with them for 13 years. So so technically I have one brother who's 2 years younger than I am.
Okay.
But I mean, if we're not speaking technically, I have
So are any of them, or has anyone else in your family like been interested in music or acting, whether it be on the stage or in front of a camera?
Yeah, so my two cousins, or two older brothers, they do not. They are not interested really in the arts at all. They're more of the athletes, more athletically driven. My younger brother, though, is a really cool mix between being athletically driven and also having a huge love for music. So my brother is right now in mixing school for music, and him and I are collabing more and more, just you know, through production. He actually worked on the production for Talk All Night. I sent him over. We were figuring out some drums, and he added some really nice drums to it. And so he thoroughly loves. He's not really of the like get on stage type. He's more of the I want to work behind the scenes and kind of architect kind of what people are creating.
Yeah.
So I call those, I think those people are amazing, because I always look at them as the architects of what, you know, I'll have an idea, and Spencer's very practical and rational. Spencer's my brother, and he'll help me get what's in my head, you know, into a nice sound. And I almost look at him as like an architect. So
yeah, I also, like, my brain is not wired in like any musical sense at all. Like I don't even sing in the shower most of the time. So like I mean, I love listening to music, but my brain does just not understand. Like when I see someone playing guitar, I'm just like, man, how do they do that? Like I'm not wired that way. So I'm always fascinated by people that do that extremely well. And then also by people who can like sound mix and all that stuff. Like that stuff blows my mind. I don't think they're really as appreciated as the musicians most of the time.
Yeah.
And speaking of musicians, what are some like music, like band inspirations or specific artists out there that like really inspire you?
Yeah, man. Growing up, I listened to a lot of I listened to a lot of soul music. Coming into my junior year, I'd say, is when I really started to develop what I liked.
Okay.
Which was I liked soul music, and I listened to a lot of Justin Timberlake. He was a huge inspiration. A lot of Usher, but Pharrell Williams as well. And then here recently, I've really just tried to listen to as much different and kind of expanding my music intake to different genres and stuff. And so I would say right now, the artists that have inspired me definitely would be Stevie Wonder.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say I pull a lot from JT.
Yeah, he's a great actor too. Sorry.
Yeah,
he's really talented. I've always admired
I would
him.
say Frank Ocean as well.
Yeah.
His writing is amazing. And then there's just so many.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I love, but and of course, just I mean, I love Kanye.
Yeah.
Just his like atmosphere around. I mean, breaking down a lot of barriers in music and kind of bringing a new sound. Say what you want about him, really.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the creative aspect, he's, I mean, an absolute genius. So
yeah, musical genius. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
I just recently kind of gotten to listening to his stuff, and I'm kind of hitting myself over the head. Like, how have I not been listening to stuff since it's been out?
I mean, I remember when I had a friend kind of introduce me to Kanye, and she was like, "Hey, I really like Kanye," and I'd like maybe heard like the Gold Digger song, and was just like, "Okay, cool." And then she sent me her favorite like songs in a playlist, and I was like, "Okay, I'm a fan for life now," just because of, I don't know, it's hip hop, and then also he's including tons of just actual music in it as well.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with that kind of sound that he was developing. And I mean, I've been a fan since I heard that. And but yeah, I mean, there's just so many artists that I could choose from, but I would definitely say Stevie Wonder, Justin Timberlake, and I would say Pharrell Williams and Kanye
Yeah.
are my top. Yeah.
I mean, those are all legends right there in their own.
Yeah. And I've really gotten into Nirvana recently.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then also Lenny Kravitz here recently too. Kind of more rock and roll aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
Lenny Kravitz is amazing, dude.
Yeah, I would assume it's almost in like a lot of directors and a lot of actors like try to absorb as much different genres of film as possible. Not only genres, but from different countries. So are there any like musicians that like you found like that are super popular in like different countries that like
that's I was recently listening to this. I was just listening to it last night. They're a group, I think in the Middle East, who they kind of do experimental like guitars and stuff like that. And I cannot remember their name right now. Oh man. But yes, I love hearing different sounds from different places. I can't remember their name, but they're like amazing.
You said they're from the Middle East?
Yeah, they're from the Middle East, and they're like this group of guitarists, and I can't they bring this really unique style, like a Middle Eastern flavor mixed with like grunge and rock and roll. It's very interesting.
I'm trying to like Google some and nothing's really popping up.
Yeah.
If you remember it throughout the rest of the podcast, dude, just
I
shout
totally
it out.
will, because they're amazing. And then I would also say artists like there's some DJs out there that are really good. Kaytranada has become, he's outside the US. He's become a little bit more, I would say, mainstream in the past year and a half.
Okay.
But he's a DJ that I believe, I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm not even going to say, but I know he was outside the US. There's just, I mean, you pretty much, I'll just sometimes like go on the internet and just start watching interviews and go down the rabbit hole. And like, what is this? What is this? Who is this? Oh, snap. These guys, like, it's a whole thing. I love it. But yeah, I totally agree with finding music outside of even your language, I think, is important.
Yeah, I'm a big like, my favorite band of all time is Led Zeppelin. So when I'm a big fan of something, I like just look for as much information as possible about them, or like whatever I'm obsessed with in that moment. So I read this great book on them, and it was this journalist who kind of like traveled with them and like went concert from concert, and he got to speak to, I think he spoke to Robert Plant a couple times, maybe Jimmy Page once. And one of the things that they did was, when they were needing inspiration, they like went away to different countries and like listened to different instruments.
Yeah.
They went to Morocco, and that's like how they like wrote Kashmir. So I think that's just, like, super cool that like kind of all artists like can kind of just look around anywhere for inspiration. And a question that just popped in my head, I want to ask you. So after Peter Pan, and then you do some more musical stuff, and then you do some more plays. Like, when do you remember like a certain point in time when you're like, oh wait, I can do this for a career and I can make money at it, and it's also like doesn't feel like work because it's so much fun?
Yeah.
Or were you kind of always driving towards that?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you're a kid, you really don't think too much about money because you don't have any bills to pay, right? So to me, anytime it was like, oh, I've got a gig and it pays like, I don't know, $100, I'm like, $100? That's like so much money, right?
That's like 2 video games.
It's like, oh,
that's
my
a lot.
gosh, think of all I can buy with $100. And now being 21 and having rent and stuff like that, you're like, oh, $100? Well, oh, that's not as much money as I thought it was. But so when I was a kid, I didn't really think about, I mean, of course you think about it. You're like, see actors on screen and you're like, whoa, they like do this all the time. But I remember when it like sunk in, when it truly like sunk in, I maybe was like 17, which is, I mean, that may be a little late for it to like sink in.
No, like, I'm on the same boat, man.
I remember like studying for this short film that I did. It was called The Order. It was directed by Chad Cunningham, brilliant director, by the way, here in Tennessee. And I was just studying the script, and I just remember looking at it and going, people do this for their living. And you know how you hear a sentence or you read a phrase from like a book, and it's kind of just sticks with you, but it doesn't really hit you. You're just like, yes, that's a very obvious statement that person said. But then the actual emotional validity and the depth of what that sentence actually means hits you at a point in time that it matters, right?
Yes.
So you look at something, maybe a sentence as trivial, and then you have an experience maybe a year or a couple days or whatever later. And then that trivial sentence or that trivial phrase actually has worth to it now. And I remember just looking at a script, and I watched a movie before that, and I studied the script right after. And I just remember looking at it and I go, people get paid to read scripts and then act them out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be doing that. okay, it makes sense now as a business. I'm
Yeah.
it just hit me that I was like, I'm 17 now. I'm starting to understand how the world works a little bit more. Oh, I can be making money for the rest of my life, possibly doing this. And it just hit me then at about 17, studying for this short film.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
Because like personally for me, like as a child, I remember I really fell in love with like movies and like acting like around the third grade. But like I would just it was always kind of like my like playtime. When I got home, I'd like would
right.
imagine and act out these things instead of playing like with action figures. I would like do that, and then like I would, like kind of like it hit you. It was like, oh wait, people can do this and get like
Right.
hey, like oh my gosh,
Right.
how do I
Right.
how do I like actually get started? Like what am I doing? Um
Yeah. And like I said, like I was doing paid gigs before that as a kid,
yeah.
but like it doesn't hit you till you understand a little bit about how the world works. And, 17 years old, I was like, there's jobs, right? You have regular jobs, and then
Yeah.
you have these other jobs that you could possibly do. And it was like, oh, this is another one of those jobs. And I actually enjoy this job. So it
So-
was just connecting one and one, really.
So when you figured out that's like what you wanted to do with your life, like was there any pushback from like friends and family? Were they like not necessarily?
No, my family.
No, you
My
can't.
family has been very supportive.
That's
of-
awesome.
Yeah, they have. I owe a lot to my family, because I personally would start to get discouraged sometimes, and my family has been very much a huge rock in my life with helping me achieve my goals and my dreams, and I definitely owe a lot to them. And very thankful that I had the family that I had
Mhm.
to just keep pushing me and helping me to do what I love, really.
That's awesome, man. Like same here. Like it's extremely blessed because I know there's a lot of different cases where it's like, no, like you straight up can't do that. You're not allowed to try to do that. So that's awesome to hear that. So wait, so did you grow up in Nashville, by the way, or?
I did. I grew up here in Mount Juliet pretty much all my life. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Like what an incredible spot to be for wanting to do what you want to do. Like
Yeah, it's been
that,
cool.
like Nashville is such an amazing place. And especially to be a musician too.
Yeah.
And with COVID, I mean, I know this may sound out of whack, but with COVID last year, like it kind of must stink to be in like a music city and have like almost everything shut down where you can't like see any live performances.
Yeah. I really enjoy going to like BB King's or like Rudy's Jazz Club here in Nashville and just like listening. I remember before I turned 21, I remember being like, I just want a fake ID, not so I can drink, but so I can go into these jazz clubs and listen to music. That's
Dude,
it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Sorry to interrupt, but I went to a
No.
table read once in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I saw, after we got done, I saw a jazz club right across the hall. And I was like, oh, like I want to go in there. And so like I walked over there and they're like, you got to be 21. I was like, maybe 19 at the time. And I was like, I don't want to drink or anything. I just want to listen to the jazz. Like,
Yeah, no, for sure.
that's hilarious.
It was that was pretty much my whole, like, I just want to listen to live jazz music.
Yeah.
It was I just loved I've loved jazz. I sang jazz like to start off with, like when I was starting singing, like my voice teacher would have me sing jazz songs, and I was like, I love just the movement in jazz. And unfortunately, I don't really know how to play jazz on an instrument. I'm working on that. I mainly just kind of like sing. I know some piano, but I'm not good enough to sit down at a piano and play a whole jazz thing as much as I wish I could.
Well, even if it's bad, you can just say jazz is improvising. So
hey, man,
I don't know if it's bad or not. I may like 20 years from now, people say I'm a musical genius for doing
it's
what
like
I'm
revolutionary. He had no idea what he was doing at the time, and this is one of the greatest records ever.
Do you have like a favorite musical production that you've done, or like a musical production that you've seen?
Oh,
or both?
just because I'm a hip hop fan, this is such a canned answer, but I'll give you a different answer. But this is like a footnote. I loved
Okay.
Hamilton. I saw
Okay.
Hamilton live, and being a hip hop fan growing up, I was like, this rocks.
Yeah, between me and you, I haven't seen it at all. Like not even.
Oh no!
So don't tell anybody. I haven't seen it. I want to.
I won't tell anybody.
Thanks, bro.
I would just recommend. I mean, it's kind of like it's one of a kind, really. And let's see, maybe one that I really thoroughly kind of enjoy. I think my favorite one that I was in that I had a lot of fun participating. I was in Singing in the Rain, which is yeah, that was really fun.
That's like one of my favorite like movies ever. Like, I mean, it's such a beautiful film. So you got to do a live production of that.
Yeah, and Mary Poppins too. Was a lot of fun.
Nice. So what character did you play in Singing in the Rain?
I didn't really want I remember I was working. I didn't really want. I was kind of busy at the time doing like more film work and stuff, but I wanted to be a part of this show as well. So I actually played the guy who sings "Beautiful Girls."
Okay, yeah,
yeah, and then I was just ensemble, for the rest of it.
Awesome.
But I was the guy who sang "Beautiful Girls," and what a blast,
Yeah,
yeah. Then I actually at the time was helping with. You know how they have the movies in Singing in the Rain and like the fake movies that they're playing.
Yeah.
Because they're making a movie and Singing in the Rain, right? So I actually, the director at the time, I was doing a lot of like just my own camera work, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to record these movies for the Singing in the Rain?"
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, "Yes, that sounds so much fun." I put my heart and soul into this. Little blips that maybe lasted 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Like, were they the silent ones?
Yes, they were the silent. Yes.
Yes.
And it was so fun to make, and I knew a lot of my friends were in the show, so just having that experience of, getting to do that with them was a huge blast.
Yeah, how could you say no to that? That's like an instant.
It was amazing.
Yes, that's so cool, man. All right, so I want to get back to A Week Away.
Sure, man.
Is like man, it looks like you guys just had a blast watching the trailer. It looks like you guys just had like the most fun summer camp ever.
So this film was, when I say so fun to make, it was amazing. It was truly one of my favorite times on set ever. Like,
that's awesome.
The energy, the chemistry between us on set it was awesome. It was a great time, man.
So I want to talk about like the process of you booking the role. How many auditions did it take? How did you was it one of those where you taped it and you're like, I kind of just forgot about it? Or was it one of those you're like, man, that like really stuck with me. I really hope to hear something back from that.
I was definitely, I hope to hear something back from that. I was originally set to read for a different character that I actually got booked for. So I'm trying to be as vague as possible.
Yeah. I don't want you to
without
or anything. Yeah.
So I was originally asked to read for one character, and so I came in, I read for it, and they were pretty much like, "Hey, we want you to read for a different character." This was at the live in-person auditions, and they're like, "Hey, take a look at this guy." And I remember reading the script for this guy too. I had the script for this character as well. And so I, read through this naturally, as you would, because I was like, oh, I think I would be suited for this role as well. So I'm just going to read for it and,
Yeah.
So they handed me the sides, and I was already kind of familiar with this character. And so I kind of already knew how I was going to play him, which was really cool. I didn't have to think too much about it. And so I took a moment. They were like, yeah, take your time, look over the script. So I walked out of the audition room after I auditioned for the first character, took a minute, kind of read through the lines. It's like, I know exactly how I'm going to play this guy. I walked back in, read for him, and just went all out, really.
Yeah.
Of what I thought this character should be. I kind of took it on my own terms. I saw how they kind of wrote it, and I was like, I know with me, I can't. I think this is a cool thing. I was like, I know I can't be what they're necessarily like writing for, so I'm gonna take my own spin on it.
That's
And
awesome to have that mindset, because not having that mindset hurts like a lot of actors down the line.
yeah, it was I knew what the essence or the kind of the ethos of the character was, and I was like, okay, I can put that, but in my style.
Mm.
And I think that's really important. I just our artists in general, artistry is taking something and making it yours.
Yeah.
I feel like. And that's another one of those, I feel like, cliche statements that gets thrown around a lot. But like once you, I feel like, understand, it really is about putting your own style on things, because you're uniquely you. So no one can really do things how you're going to do them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I read for the character in my own style, how I thought this character should be. And I was really nervous because like for a week I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of sitting there going, I was like, I really hope I get this. This would be so fun. Like so fun to do.
Yeah.
And I remember going into the dance and sing like dance auditions, and I really didn't know how to dance. I've done musical theater, but not really know how to dance. So
okay.
Dancing was not my strong suit during that audition at all. But I gave it my all. I went in, I learned the best choreography I could, the best I could, and didn't hear anything for about a week. And then I finally got the call, and they were like, hey, we'd like to offer you this role. And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah. You're like, no, let me think about it. It's like,
yeah, I'll call you back in a day. You know, like,
let me check my calendar.
I was so happy to book it.
That's so awesome, man. So at that time, was Netflix already on the project, or was it something where you guys just shot it and then Netflix ended up buying it out?
I think it was the latter. So
okay.
Yeah, shot it. To be honest, I don't know. I don't really pay much attention to the business side as much as I should.
Okay.
I just was psyched about the film and diving into the character work, and I was not really concerned with the top of what was going on with distribution and stuff like that. But I believe it was the latter.
That's awesome. So like to not only get to shoot a film and then find out like the biggest streaming company in the world is now like taking it. That's like extremely, because it's not Netflix. I mean, a lot of people are going to see it.
Yeah, it was really cool news. It was really, really cool. It was I saw that article and I was like, great, amazing, love it.
So for those who haven't seen the trailer yet, could you kind of give us like a easy synopsis of what the movie's kind of about?
Sure.
Where you kind of fit in?
Yeah. The movie is about a character named Will, and he kind of is a troubled, lost young adult trying to find his way, and he gets invited to this Christian summer camp, and through that he meets a bunch of friends and adversary, which I may or may not be playing.
Oh, that's exciting.
So he it's just kind of one of those stories about finding yourself as a young adult, and finding connection with people. It's a beautiful, beautiful story, and it was kind of really cool watching the whole process and script develop as the cast kind of put their own spin on the characters and stuff like that. It was beautiful to watch unfold. And so, yeah, if you haven't checked out the trailer, definitely check out the trailer.
I'll try to I'll link it when I do this. I'll do an audio version, then the version people can see. I'll definitely link the trailer in the description.
Love it.
Just between you and me, how does it end? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But
Oh, you will find out in 2
So-
weeks.
yeah, 2 weeks. A week away will come out, which that sounds
Yes.
confusing.
Puns. Let me tell you what. I was saying it was so smart. The title just from a marketing position.
Yeah.
With just the enormous and plentiful amount of puns one can use
Yeah.
for this title.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And
Genius.
did you guys shoot this the summer of 2019?
I believe so. Yes. Yes, we did.
So, like, what is it like shooting a musical outside most of the time, like during the summer? What is?
Now here's the thing about here's what I'm gonna say about
Okay.
here's the thing about me. I as long as there is, you know, like good energy around, everyone is like there to do their job and do
Yeah.
it well.
Uh-huh.
I don't care if it's 120 degrees outside. Like, we're gonna have a blast. That's just my mentality towards things.
Dude, absolutely. Hey, as long as I got sunblock on, I'm there
Hey,
with you, man.
you see this very fair skin, lots of sunblock was definitely applied.
Yes.
And I remember people just holding umbrellas over me, and I'm like, I don't tan one bit. I don't have quite as red hair as you have. But I'm half ginger. I have
Yes.
like a little drop of just a little bit of red in my hair from my father's side.
I believe
and,
you. Man.
It's that it comes with that fair skin, man. You know, I bet
Yeah.
you relate too.
Did you have one of the makeup ladies like just like come up in between takes and just like slosh your face with
I mean,
sunscreen?
for me, sunblock was a definite necessary. And when they do like the makeup and stuff, they usually put, especially since we're shooting outside, sunblock on as well.
Yeah, yeah. We
But as for my arms and stuff, we had to make sure continuity wise and stuff, you know, making sure I wasn't a lobster 1 minute and
yes.
pasty white the next.
Yes, I love that, man. Like I'm right there with you. Like most of like the majority of the things that I've worked on, for some reason I'm always outside, whether it's cold or hot. Every time I'm in that situation, I'm just like, why? Like, why do I allow this to happen?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm like, I should have put on a shirt at the beach. I know what I should have done. Did I do it? No, I did not. And thus I am red.
I love that, man. But hey, like, do you ever feel like kind of being a redhead kind of gives you like an advantage whenever you're going to like a live audition and you see like a bunch of like brunettes or like blondes there?
I've never really given much thought to it. Yeah, I've never really given much thought to that. I was always just like, oh, cool, this is how my hair is. Cool. I've definitely I'm starting to do a little bit more. I want to do a little bit more modeling work and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like as I'm like scrolling through some of these pictures we're doing and stuff, I'm like, oh, cool. Like I really am appreciating the color of my hair because it's kind of different.
Yeah.
It's kind of you don't see very many strawberry blondes out there, and so I don't know. You know, it's part of me. I can't change it. I'm not going to. I mean, I'm not the type to dye my hair.
Do you ever get like elderly? This happens to me a lot, just from experience. Do you ever get like elderly women come up to you and be like, "Did you know that your hair is a gift from God?" And then they'll want to touch it.
I've had like an elderly woman just like, I was at like a cafe or whatever. She's like, "Your hair is so pretty," and I was like, "Thanks." I was like, "Thanks. I'm gonna go eat some pancakes now."
Yeah, I mean, dude, when they do it, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, it makes my day most of the time.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
like these elderly women, you know, just saying compliments is sometimes the just most sweetest thing ever.
Dude, they really are.
It really is great. I love it.
Like, they're just grandmas just there. You're making sure you've eaten enough. You know.
Yeah.
There's been a lot less of that with COVID going on, and I wanted to ask you, kind of like a cliche question, but like, I picked up some stuff from doing COVID. Like I started this podcast because of COVID. Is there anything like that you've started doing, or maybe like picked up a hobby or anything during COVID?
Um, are you able? Do you hear that music outside? I just want to make sure you don't.
I do not know.
Okay, great, awesome. My neighbors are playing loud music. COVID made me realize that I really, it honestly did. It made me realize how much I enjoy being in my house, and kind of like I didn't realize how much I actually enjoyed it until COVID hit, and I was like, wow, everyone's like, I can't wait to go outside and see people. And I was just like, I'm really just loving staying inside. Like, it's gonna be a great when I do see people and go out. But I was honestly like, I'm kind of kicking it, man. Like, I'm not in a rush to like rush back out into society. Now, of course, I do enjoy going downtown and stuff like that, but it made me kind of realize like my slight introverted nature was very much like, yeah, I'm totally fine with this. So for me, it was more, I didn't really pick up any, I would say, new hobbies. It was more of a time for self-reflection and really, I was writing during the time. I believe I wrote Talk All Night during that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I mean that came out of it.
So like what goes into writing a song? Because one of the things I kind of picked up during COVID, like I started to, because I always wrote like short films and stuff, and I've shot them.
Yeah.
But I was like, how do you like actually like write good? Like I think I'm talented at this, but I'm not like great yet. So that's what I learned. But still, one of the things, like when I listen to songs, I'm just like, how did they like write that? Like, so what goes into like that? You don't have to like go in like too specific.
No, I mean, for me, it's very much throwing paint on a wall.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is I'm of the type, it's just, I'm going to take a bucket of paint, I'm going to throw it on the wall, and I'm going to go, okay, what can I make from this? Or what other colors can I add? So for me, writing a song is basically me maybe sitting down at a piano, or I just picked up guitar recently and really working hard at getting really good at guitar, or I have a friend send me like a beat. And for me, it's just like starting with, I mean, a concept of, I'll just be like, and the mumblings will turn into words.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll say something like, we could talk all night, and be like, oh, okay. Where can I go from there? And so it's kind of like a rabbit. It's kind of like having a trail. It's kind of like having your ending and then circling back to the beginning. So I'll have maybe like a sentence, right? And be like, okay, what does this sentence mean in the context of whatever I'm trying to, what story I'm trying to tell, and kind of reverse engineering things. Sometimes that's how it works. Sometimes words just come. And it doesn't happen often, but this song just kind of like in one flow kind of happens. Doesn't really happen, at least for me anyway. It doesn't happen like that. I kind of have to like, sit down and really evaluate what's going on story wise. And lyrically with Talk All Night, it's really just kind of a nice pop R&B song. There's not much I would say storyline to it in any way, but I kind of wanted to capture the intimacy of the moment, and kind of use the contrast of and the subtleties of body language and all that, and talk all night, kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. And just kind of capturing the intimacy of what I believed the track sounded like. I believe making sure that the lyrics kind of match the storyline of the track as well, and everything kind of has a cohesive sound, is very important too.
Have you ever started writing a song and like in the middle of it, like you start to realize like you've been writing a song that like already exists almost?
Yes, all the time. I'm like, and for me, that bugs me so much. Like I always come into everything I do with, okay, what can I do to make this as different as possible? Like, or if I start to like things get too similar, I have to switch things up. Whether it's lyrically throwing in like a lyric that's ironic or, just something to shake the basket a little bit, or a sound or a feeling in the track. I very much am a believer of making things as different as possible sometimes, and separating yourself from the herd a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you should go check it out if you haven't seen it. But this guy on YouTube, he was like writing a song on his piano, and he's like doing it, and then like he starts to speed it up, and it's just the Office theme song, and you just see him stop. He's just like he's been sitting there like writing this for hours, and then he speeds it up. It's great. You gotta watch it if you have it.
Definitely, I made a beat one time, and I was like working with this bass line, and my brother was in the room. He goes, "That sounds too much like Bad Guy," and I was like,
yeah,
it does. And I immediately scrapped the song. I was like, I can't do this.
Well, like this is so I like to listen to the Bill Burr podcast, if you're familiar. He's another redhead.
Yes, well, previous.
Yeah,
he has no hair now.
He still has the beard though, that's red. So
he still has it, yes.
Yeah, but he, in one of his podcasts, I think he does with Bert Kreischer, they were kind of talking about like how joke theft, like sometimes it is and sometimes it's not, because it can go like one ear and out the other, but like some of it stays. Like how
a lot of it's parallel thinking, right?
So yeah. How do
people have the same experience as humans? Like what are there, like, I don't know the exact number, but there's like billions of people on the planet, right? So I'm sure a lot of us have parallel thinking and similar experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I'm like because there's a lot of movies that are similar in that aspect, because on the internet it seems like everyone always wants to start a fight, or like you cannot like be in the middle on the internet. You have to love or hate something. So a lot of times I see, oh, this person copied this person, we should like stop listening to their music or stop watching this movie or hate this. I'm just kind of like,
no, I mean,
like what you just said.
Art. I mean, there's a verse in the Bible that says this. There's a verse in I'm right now reading Marcus Aurelius Meditations, and a lot of these philosophers came to the conclusion that there is nothing new under the sun, that everything is recycled, and thus that is the same way with everything we're experiencing now. It's all art is either stolen or borrowed, or I don't remember what the quote was exactly, so don't quote me on this, but I can't remember who said this, but it was like, good art is inspired, great art is stolen.
I think Quentin Tarantino said that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I was about to say that actually.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm messing up this quote, as I usually do with quotes, royally. But the essence and the ethos of the quote is there, which is pretty much, borrow from what you love and steal ideas. Not what I mean steal, it's not like literally steal, like plagiarism. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm taught like you to practice and to kind of discover, you have to imitate.
Yeah, and I feel like the great artists know that when someone else steals from them, like they're like, oh, that's awesome that they were inspired by me. And
exactly.
Yeah.
For Talk All Night, I stole 80s music for a little bit. I was like, this sound, I'm going to steal it for a little bit and kind of steal from Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam type production style. And so, you've got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
inspiration, I guess.
Are you working on any music or any music videos or anything that? Like...
Yeah, I got there's something in the works right now that I'm pretty excited about to be sharing. It's kind of different, but it should be it'll be shortly before I release it.
Okay.
So keep your ears open.
And where can people see this? Spotify, I assume, Apple?
Yeah, it's gonna be hitting on all platforms.
Okay.
So it'll be it's very shortly. Very shortly.
That's all. And any like other, I know, like obviously like a week away is like the big thing here. Are there any other projects that you've worked on that like you're kind of excited to throw out there?
Not right now. It's been kind of chill. I've just been spending a lot of time on music and developing some things sonically. So, but as for any other acting things right now, I'm kind of keeping it chill, just auditioning still, and as one does.
Of course, everything was like completely shut down, and now things are like slowly coming to life. And it's like, 2 years ago, it would have been to get just one audition through the week. You're like, okay, cool. And now it's just like, oh my gosh, buried treasure. Like, let me just like, sink my teeth into this.
I remember getting auditions, the auditions starting to come back, and I was like, this is amazing. Yay.
Yeah.
Like, yes, potential work.
Yes, please. I'm a very optimistic person. I think things,
as I am. Yes.
That's awesome. I think things will, be back to normal. Maybe not completely normal soon, but I'm just glad that I got a roof over my head and food money.
That's how I am, dude.
That's awesome, man.
Trying to stay, thankful. You've got to.
So a week away, comes out in 2 weeks on Netflix. Just Netflix, right? It's not I assume it's out of theaters.
Netflix, yeah. Netflix. Yep.
Dude, that's gonna be so exciting. Like,
yeah, man.
That's huge. I can't wait to watch it, man. And
it's I'm very excited for it. It's gonna be great. I cannot wait for people to see the work that cast and crew have put into this, because it was a very unique, I would say, and soul inspiring kind of film to be a part of.
That's awesome, man. I'm super stoked to see it. Bailey Madison, and then who plays Will?
Kevin Quinn.
And then one of my like favorite like underrated comedians of all time, David. Is it Koechner or Koechner?
David Koechner.
Yeah. Thank you, dude.
Yeah.
He is hilarious in Anchorman. Steals the show in that movie almost. One of my favorite lines from that movie, Anchorman, for those who've seen it, where they're like arguing against the other anchor crew, where he goes, I'm gonna take your mother Doreen out to a nice seafood dinner.
Yeah,
never call her back.
He's so funny. He's so funny. And he's hilarious in person. He really is.
That's awesome to hear, man. Well, dude, I don't want to take up any more of your time.
No, man. This has been a very this has been fun, dude.
Dude, have you ever done a podcast before?
I have. This is a first.
Oh, that's
I hope I did good. Like that,
dude. I'm gonna cut all this audio and make you seem like a terrible person, like I do with my past guests. But it was great to have you, man.
Dude, it was so it was a blast, man. It really was. Thank you for asking me. I've never done one of these before.
Dude, thank you so much for doing it. Where can people follow you? What's your Instagram, Twitter?
Oh yeah, my Instagram is Iain Tucker. My name's kind of spelled kind of weird. It's IAIN Tucker 99. That's my Instagram handle. So at Iain Tucker 99.
Okay.
Then I'm on Facebook as well. Just type in Iain Tucker. And then on Twitter as well. I need to be more active on Twitter, but anytime I want to say something, I just go to my notes app and I just keep it between me and myself.
That's probably the smartest thing to do.
What?
That's probably the smartest thing to do.
It really is. Every time I'm like, I have an opinion, I'm like, but no one cares. I'm like, nobody actually cares. So I just go to my notes app and I keep that between me and myself. So I only use Twitter for like reposting things like music and stuff like that. But I'm mainly active on Instagram.
Okay, cool. And I'll throw like all those little things so people can just click on them or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much for like taking the time out of your day to sit here and talk to me.
Dude, I appreciate the invitation. It was so this was fun. This was definitely a blast, man.
Dude,
thank you.
And I'm feeling really good that I'm going to hear back from that web series pilot sometime soon.
Dude, I'm crossing my fingers, man. I'm still waiting on the call. Hopefully we'll be casted in it together.
I've been sitting by the phone for years now.
Me too, man.
Projects are always delayed, probably because of COVID. We haven't.
Right. That's kind of what I've deducted it down to. Wow.
All right, man. Well, you have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely.